All right, and it is official. We are live. Shalom, Yahawah. And we're going to jump right into it with this week's Torah portion reading. Salute and blessings to our brother Malachi, who recently being married. Hallelujah. And the Most High bless your marriage and every other marriage, the future endeavors. All right, so let's go ahead and get to it. Hopefully, everybody will be able to hear me. And we turn this music down from the. Oh, that's as low as it goes. All right. Well, let's get started. We have our brother Yahawah. Hallelujah. So, brother Yahawah, I spoke to him earlier, and he said that he would be able to participate with this week's Torah portion class. So that's wonderful. All right. And if anybody would like to share, that would be good. I'm not going to get into the advertising parts. All right. How Shalom with that? Shabbat Shalom. Put a 7 in the room if you hear me okay, please. All right. And let's get started. All right. So, brother Yahawah, thank you for your Torah time. We appreciate that also. All right. So let's get started with this. All right. So we're going to start with going right here, sharing our screen. And from our screen share, let's go ahead and go to your Yahawah. We're going to message Yahawah for your house right there. Great job. Great job. Great job. All right. And brother Yahawah, here is the post. Let's go ahead and post it. Did I do it? All right. All right. So there's that. And let's go ahead and get to it. So this week's Torah portion, what we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at the book of Exodus. So with this week's Torah portion, it is a conclusion of Exodus. So now we'll be going into, we'll be officially going into Leviticus next. So the next Torah portion reading, just heads up, it will not be for Exodus. It will be for Leviticus next. So this is just like Deuteronomy. When you get to the 5th book of the Bible, which is called Deuteronomy, Deuteronomy is a conclusion of all the books, right? So Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and then Deuteronomy. So this week's Torah portion, right? Exodus, where are we again? Exodus chapter 35 through 40. Is that right? 35 through 40? Exodus chapter 35 through 40. Chapter 35 through chapter 40 is officially the end of the Exodus readings. So what we see is that the Most High, He commanded us, and the Most High gathered us, and the Most High gave us, He gave us His ordinances on how to make His tabernacle. And then after He did that, He gave us law, statutes, commandments, and judgments for us to keep forever. All right. I'm going to share this screen right here. This screen is my personal YouTube page. I'm going to go to my channel. And from my channel, I'm going to share this link. And here's the link right here. I want to encourage the rest of you, please share, subscribe, like, come to my YouTube, and check out all my corny videos. All right. All right. So greatly appreciate you being there. And here's the link for that. All right. And there's that. All right. So also, I have a few friends and family members that I want to invite, and we are starting our official Torah portion class reading at 1 p.m. All right. So in the process of, we're just going to go ahead and get ready. All right. Let's go ahead and put that in there. Okay. And it's official. So we're going to close down that and go over here. All right. So boom. Boom. All right. So when we're looking at this week's Torah portion, we see that the Most High assembled. Okay. That's what Yahawah did. He assembled the 12 tribes. He gave the 12 tribes of Yahshua law, statutes, commandments. He gave us instructions to do what? To be obedient to him, to love him, and to always walk in integrity pertaining to his way. Now, a lot of us slip with that, but I'm going to tell you this. If you can be better than what you was yesterday, then you can do it. All right, you can do it. All right. So let's look at this real quick. The Most High assembled the community. All right, he assembled the 12 tribes, and in the process of not only did he do that, he had us all to come together and bring a donation. So our donation was donations of materials. It was the gold, the silver, it was the brass, so-called copper, but that was actually a property that was called electrium. So I want to encourage everybody to look up electrium if you can. I would love to go through it with you, but I just think that right now it would be better if we read. So let's read. So let's start with Exodus chapter 35. We're going to start at verse 1, and we're going to read through chapter 40. So Exodus chapter verse 1, 35 verse 1, it reads, "And Mashah gathered all the congregation," and this is what the heading of this week's Torah portion is, right? And Moses and Mashah, Yahawah, he did this, gathered, right? So here's the summary. And Mashah gathered all the congregation of the children of Israel together and said unto them, These are the words which Yahawah hath commanded, that ye should do them. 6 days shall work be done, but on the Shabbat day there shall be unto you a holy day, a day of rest to Yahawah. Whosoever doeth any work therein shall be put to death. And here's something that I just want to stop right there, because this is one of our main, primary, and top things. Put a 7 in the room if I can be heard, okay? Baruch Shah. All right. There's the YouTube link if anybody would like to share the Isaiah Yahshua YouTube link. Let me go ahead and get this. Okay. All right. I also want to get my link and send my link out to a couple of friends and families that are new to the truth. And today's the Shabbat. Booyah. Now, I don't have a clubhouse, but this is where I meet at. So if anybody would like to, let's meet on YouTube. All right. All right. So we're broadcasting, and we're going to go ahead and finish in. So this week's Torah portion, we're seeing what the Most High is doing right from the beginning. He's gathering us, and he gives us the first order. The first order is 6 days, do all of our work, all of our labor. But on the Shabbat day, the 7th day, there shall be to you a holy day, which is today. Today is the Shabbat, the 7th day. I don't want to go into doctrines. We can talk about it later. If anybody debates which day is the Sabbath day, you can talk to me about it. I don't have a problem standing up for the 7th day of the week, Saturday being the Shabbat, all right? A Shabbat of rest to Yahawah. Whosoever doeth any work therein shall be put to death. All right. So the Father's standard, not ours. He shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Shabbat day. This is also verse 4. And Mashah spake unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which Yahawah commanded, saying, Take ye from among you an offering unto Yahawah. Whosoever is of a willing heart, let him bring it in. Let him bring it, an offering of Yahawah. Now, here's our materials. We have gold, we have silver, and this brass right here is really interesting because it's actually a material that's called electrium. All right. Blue, purple, scarlet, and fine linen, and goat's hair, and ram skins dyed red, and badger skin, and shittim wood. And what else? Oil for the light. Now, when we're looking at oil for the light, we know that this is pertaining to the menorah. To the menorah. I said it to the Torah. This is pertaining to the menorah. All right. So if you don't know what the menorah is, you know what I'm saying, we can just show you. It's the 7-branch candlestick that African Americans, Black people had. It went over time throughout cultures, and other people knew about it and they picked it up. But originally, it is a Negro symbol. The man who made it, we learned about last week, his name was Bezaleel and Bezaleel. You know what I'm saying? Not only was he a Negro, he was also the son of who? The tribe of Judah, right? So a lot of you African Americans and Negroes who say or profess that you're from the tribe of Judah, well, guess what? It was your grandfather who did the menorah, who actually made the menorah. Pretty cool, huh? All right. So shalom to the friends. All right. All right. So when we're looking at it, we see that the Most High gave us these ordinances, not just these materials, but specific stuff. He gave us the oil for the light, told us what type of oil to use, and the spices for anointing oil. If you read the Torah portion last week, then you would have heard what the spices were. Now, he tells us when it pertains to the spices, he says, don't make a copy of these spices, an exact replica. But what you can do is you can make spices that are similar, or oils that are similar. Like you can mix frankincense and myrrh. That's not illegal. It's not unlawful to mix frankincense and myrrh. All right. But if you mix all of the spices of the what the Most High gave his priests to put the confection on their skin, or on it, to only they can smell like that. Right. Anyone who does so will be a curse upon them. Now watch this. Something else Yahawah gave us. He gave us what? And onyx stones, and stones to be set in the ephod for the breastplate. And every wise-hearted among you shall come and make all that Yahawah has commanded. The tabernacle, what else? His tent, what else? His covering, his taches, his boards, his bars, his pillars, and his sockets. The ark and the staves thereof, with the mercy seat and the veil of the covering, the table and his staves, and all his vessels, and the showbread, and the candlestick. Verse 14. The candlestick also for the light, and his furniture, and his lamps, with the oil of the light, and the incense altar, and his staves, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the hanging door for the entering of the tabernacle. Verse 16. The altar for burnt offering, with his brazen grate, his staves, and his vessels, and his laver for his foot. Now, if you're not familiar with this, it sounds like we're reading over a bunch of and what's, and what, and what else, and what, and when is it going to get to the next subject? But if you read this over and over and listen to it throughout your life, you can visually see it now. See, what the Most High is doing is he's programming us. You can start to visually see something that you haven't seen, but you know it existed, like breath, like air. Did you know that there's a science to wind? I want to be able to teach so fully. Once you can see and materialize these things that Yahawah has made, then you'll be able to understand them and want for them in the new kingdom to come. Verse 17, the hangings of the court, his pillars and their sockets, and the hanging of the door of the court, the pins of the tabernacle, and the pins of his court, and their cords. 19. The clothes of service to do service in the holy place, the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons, to minister in the priest's office. And all the congregation of the children of Israel departed from the presence of Moses. And they came, every one whose heart stirred him up, and every one whom his spirit made willing. And they brought Yahawah's offering to the work of the tabernacle of the congregation, for all his service, and for the holy garments. And they came, both men and women, as many as were willing-hearted, and brought bracelets and earrings and rings and tablets, all jewels of gold, and every man that offered an offering of gold unto Yahawah. Verse 23. And every man with whom was found blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen and goat's hair and red skins of ram and badger skins brought them. Everyone that did offer an offering of silver and brass brought Yahawah's offering, and every man with whom was found shittim wood for any work of the service brought it. And all the women that were wise-hearted did spin with their hands, and brought that which they had spun, both of blue and of purple and of scarlet and of fine linen. And all the women whose hearts stirred them up in wisdom spun goat's hair, and rulers brought onyx stones and stones to be set for the ephod and for the breastplate, and spices for the lights, and for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense. The children of Yasharallah brought a willing offering unto Yahawah, every man and woman whose heart made them willing to bring forth all manner of work, which Yahawah had commanded to be by the hand of Mashah. And Mashah said unto the children of Yasharallah, Yabrakaya Bashamasha Bashalam Marwan. And Mashah said unto the children of Israel, see, Yahawah hath called by name, Bezaleel, Bataza'ala, son of Uri, son of Hur, of the tribe of Yahawah. And he filled him with the spirit of Allahiah in wisdom, in understanding, and in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship. Verse 32, Exodus chapter 35. And to devise curious works, to work in gold and in silver and in brass, and in the cunning stones to set them, and in carving of wood to make any manner of cunning work. Exodus chapter 35, verse 34. And he put in his heart, Exodus chapter 35, verse 34. And he hath put in his heart that he may teach both he and Aholiab, the son of Ithamar, of the tribe of Dan. Verse 35. Them hath he filled with wisdom of heart to work all manner of work, of the engraver, and of the cunning workman, and of the embroiderer in blue, and in purple, and scarlet, and in fine linen, and of the weaver, even of them that do any work, and of those that devise cunning work. Repeat after me if you choose to. This is something your grandparents said, and if you are an Israelite, you are a Hebrew, and if you are under the covenant of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which Moses brought us under, this is something your grandparents said in the book of Exodus chapter 19. It may not have been publicized yet, but it's time for you to learn it, everybody. So repeat after me. Kala Sharah, the body Yahawah, Na Aisha, Wa Na Shemai. All that Yahawah has said will we do in here. One more time. Call Asherah, Debar Yahawah, Na Aisha, Wa Na Shemai. All that the Lord has said will we do and hear. What we just did, what we just said, was the same proclamation that our grandparents said at the bottom of Mount Sinai. This is a principle that happens whenever you finish reading a chapter of the Torah portion, specifically reading the law. And how do we know this? Because it's been documented in the Bible. So we just want to make sure that we show others, all right, and that we keep the same customs. So Kala Shadai, the body Hawa na Aisha, Wa na Shemai, all that the Lord said, what we're doing here, that is the reading of Exodus chapter 35. I believe it was at 35. Exodus chapter 35. Yeah. So we have plenty more reading to do. We have Elder Yahawah that's on with us right now. Elder Yahawah will be teaching the prophet portion, and that's going to be later in the day. Right now we're in the law portion. We're in the Torah part of our teaching, of our segment for the day. I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. I'm going to try to read through as articulately as possible so that everybody can hear the law, because when it comes to the prophet portion, Elder Yahawah has prophecies for what's going on in the world right now. What we commonly do is we read the law, prophet, and the gospel, and we're going to do that. With us having our Elder Yahawah with us for the time frame that we do, we want to utilize him because he's very blessed in not only precepts, but he's very blessed in his memory. He has a clear mind. He's very sharp. Now, if you have children, then please Put a flag in the room and remind Elder Yahawah that you have children in the room, Elder. Children in the room, Elder. Okay. Now, I will also say this. He is a very discreet teacher who has been around Yahawah many years, and it's more than likely one of the elders that you've never known of, but has helped your favorite elder. Some of your favorite elders that you've seen on TV, Elder Yahawah was behind the scene assisting them, like her when he was helping hold up Moses' arm, like Aaron when he was helping hold up Moses' arm. See, those men aren't given enough credit. So Yahawah, being a part of the nation of Yahawah, he'll be lending the time that Yahawah gave him to us today. So thank you, Elder Yahawah. Right now, you're on my phone, and I can hear you, but they can't hear you. So I just want to tell you, thank you, Elder Yahawah, for your time. This week's Torah portion, thank you, my Lord. I heard you, Elder. Thank you so much. You are respected and loved, man, and I honor you for your experience. So if you don't want to stay on now, if you got other things to do, that's completely understandable, beloved saint. You know, okay. Hey, thank you. Yeah, no worries. I'm going to try to read through the law as quick as I can. The thing about this week's Torah portion is that this week's Torah portion is not for the weak-hearted. And men and women have to brace themselves for what God Almighty told us to do. And sometimes it's not easy hearing him say, wash the dishes, pick up your socks, tie your shoes. Some instructions are great and they're big and we know them. And some instructions are very small, such as count each and every one of these curtain pins and tell each and every one of the stone names in my breastplate. So sometimes instructions are great, sometimes they're small. This week's Torah portion has a bunch of minute little details. So that means it's a bunch of reading. So anybody that would like to catch this lesson later, no hard feelings. It's live on YouTube and you'll be able to watch the full reading. If you want to participate now, please do. We'll inform you when Elder Yahawah's portion comes up. And because I'm on a limited time frame, I have to start reading soon. Hey, Zaquan, do you want to give a Vayakhel? Do you want to have a blessing to the people while you're on before we jump back in?
Well, what I will say is Yahawah Hashem, Hamashiach Yahushai, Baruch Thumb to the brothers, and Yahawah Hashem, Yahushai, Shemaiah Thun to the Akiwah that are listening and learning.
The water saint. Kwame Yashawala. Thank you, beloved saint. And with that, we're going to jump back to Exodus chapter 36. You all will get a notification when Elder Yahawah, when he has his own time frame, so we have to respect his time frame. He's not on ours, he's on Yahawah's time frame, so he's loaning us at some time. So I want to try to get through it, and then if you all have any questions, I can send you all his Facebook, his YouTube. All right, and thank you for being patient, everybody. So let's jump back to it, Yahawah. If you gotta go and come back, I understand, King. I love you, bro. Or if you're rocking out with us. Amen. All right. Exodus chapter 30. Yes, sir. We'll do. Yeah, we'll do. Exodus chapter 36, verse 1. And everybody, that's Elder Yahawah. For those of you who know, you know. For those who don't know, get to know him. Exodus chapter 36, verse 1. And we are sharing, if you would like to, we're also screen sharing on YouTube. So you can watch this live and you can also see our screen share. Exodus chapter 36, verse 1. Then wrought Bezaleel, also pronounced Batiza'ala. Bezaleel was a black man. This is Miriam, Moses' sister. This is Miriam's son. Okay, so Bezaleel is the son of Hur. Right, Hur is his father. Hur. So then wrought Bezaleel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man in whom Yahawah put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all manner of work for service of sanctuary, according to all that Yahawah hath commanded. And and Masha Moses called Bezaleel and Aholiab and every wise-hearted man in whose heart Yahawah had put wisdom, even everyone whose heart stirred him up to come unto work to do it. So yes, The Most High put that spirit on some to just jump up and jump off the porch, and it's like, I got this, I'll bring this, I'll do that. Yo, hey, no problem. Yo, I can bring some. Yeah, man, we got some too. The Most High put that spirit on some people, and he put also the spirit on other people to just be like, oh yeah, man, I automatically got that. Well, I got the Bezaleel. Look at Yahawah. There's some people that just have an innate gift of being able to do things that you can't do. Don't envy it. Don't hate it. Know that the Most High put that on them for them to be a craftsman or workman. And that might be you, sister, brother. And then there might be somebody else that comes up under the Yahawah and dust off the work that Yahawah do. Imagine Yahawah is an engraver. All right, imagine a gold sheet in front of you, right? Boom, 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 gold sheet. And on this gold sheet, which I had the honor of having when I was in Jerusalem, it's such a blessing to be able to write our names in Hebrew on gold. Turn it around, and it's like, wow. Imagine Yahawah does that with an engraver tool that only he knows how to use, precepts. Now imagine somebody like me, what do you call them, an apprentice. I come in, now my job is to dust off the gold engraving. Yahawah might even say, hey, save those, put them in the bag. We're going to use those later. Don't throw those away. All right. He might say that. My job as an apprentice is to come behind him, dust off the good work that he did, and then keep going. The Most High put that spirit on a lot of Yahshua men, women. There was Gentiles. We're not going to talk about that, but they were not in any way, shape, or matter. Let me make this very clear. The Goyim, the Gentiles, were not in any way, shape, or matter elevated to we did this glorious thing. No, this is all Yahawah, his spirit, which is Yahweh Shai at the time, and then his sons, his children. This is something that we have to own as a nation. I did not just do Wakanda forever. I was hugging myself. So if you're watching this live, don't be like, that brother did Wakanda forever. No, I was hugging myself. This is something that we as a nation, Yahawah gave us to do. So when you learn about the menorah, when you learn about Aholiab, when you learn about Bezaleel, when you learn about these instruments that's inside of the tabernacle of Yahawah, which still exists to this day. The Ark of the Covenant, was it melted down? I know, Eric, the Ark of the Covenant, let me see, what else? His tabernacle, it was carried by a brolic dude named Jeremiah. He wasn't no scrawny little white man, like a little point over there. I think that no. Jeremiah, the priest of Yah, he was a brolic prophet, and he had priests that was with him, and they hid all that stuff in the cave. So these artifacts still belong to you, Yahshua. So put yourself in the mind state of knowing who Bezaleel, who Aholiab, who he was. Look at your elders who you have today, and then give yourself these things. You don't have these instruments today, but the Father has us read them over and over and over so they can be imprinted in your mind. Why? Because they exist. They exist because Moses wrote down a replica of what he seen in heaven. Booyah. So he didn't just come down and be like, I'm just going to draw this. No, Masha gave us a replica of what Christ showed us that he has waiting for us. So get to know your instruments. Realize that Revelation says that ye are rich. Let's get back to this. Exodus chapter 36, verse 3. And they received of Moses, Bezaleel and Aholiab, all right, these two gifted elders, right? And they received of Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, and made it withal. And they brought yet unto him free will offering when every morning. Let's not talk about how now Israelites don't want to share. Verse 4. And all wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they made. And they spake unto Masha, Moses, saying, the people bring too much, more than enough for the service of the work which Yahawah had commanded to make. Yo, Masha, can you imagine Yahawah and Moses' face? Hey, these guys doing too much. You got to say, can you imagine? You can't, you have to be able to see it. This was the free will and the joy that Yahshua had when we knew we was doing something great, grand, and grandeur. This is the mentality I had and still have whenever we're doing the ministry. We're doing something great, grand, and grandeur. Bring your gold, bring your silver, bring your purple, your scarlet, your blue. All right. I'm a tither. I'm not going to get into that. When I get $600, I put 60 of it to the side. When I get $2,000, I put, what's that? 2,200 to the side. If I get 1,500, I put, 150 to the side. Or 1,500 to the side. If I get $6, I put 60 cents to the side. If I get $10, put 10 cents to the side. That's 10% side of all the most I ask. When I do that, I put it in a separate account, and when I go back and look at it, it's there for me to give to somebody else in Yahawah. Not mention somebody else here. It's there because the Father put it in my heart to know that this mentality is something that Yahawah wants us to have. The scriptures do say that the Lord loves a cheerful giver. Don't act like the church said that and the church was wrong. Yahawah said he loves a cheerful giver. So Yahawah at this time, and if you're in need, reach out to Yahawah. If you don't have any food or if you're struggling, if you need a pantry, the elders of Yahawah, including Zaquan, can send you food boxes. All right. I'm gonna say from my own testimony from years back, I've seen that he sent out hundreds to families. If you need resources, there is a Yahawah index list that you could. So Joseph set us up resources when we were in Egypt. Moses set us up resources before we even went to Egypt. So that willing heart, that giving, that bringing all the resources together, making sure everybody got it, that's how we're supposed to be. Remember, the Gentiles were not like that. The Gentiles gave us scraps. They didn't want to give us nothing. They didn't want to give us bread. They didn't want to give us water. They didn't want to let us pass through the land. But when it came to us, they had more than enough. Come on, pass through the land. Hey, you can eat the grapes, just don't take none when you go. Or you sitting in my orange field, I can imagine Yahawah right there. Nigga better not take nothing. But it was lawful for them to eat in our field. Just don't take none when you leave our field. In our nation, there's more than enough provision because Moses taught us, because Yahawah taught us how to make his tabernacle. Let's focus on Exodus chapter 36, verse 6, and on down only. All right. And Moses gave the commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, let neither man nor woman make any more of an offering for the sanctuary. That's how free-hearted we were. And a lot of us still are. We just don't want to give or be involved because we've been hurt, we've been betrayed. Somebody, I asked you for help, and when I asked you for help, you exposed me. So that would make me not want to ask you. That's not something that that happen. It does happen, but I would be like, well, shame on that person. I'm still going to ask for help. This is Israel. You have not because you ask not, is what Christ said, family members and friends. And that's how I got to think. So, but those examples do happen. And in this time frame, it was how we willingly, and we still have it in us, we brought way too much. Can you imagine there's too much gold? Bro, good morning. You can stop bringing me silver. Listen, I just seen you yesterday, sis. We don't need no more purple. Yahawah pushing get them out of here. You know how beautiful that is? Verse 7, for the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it and too much. Exodus chapter 36, verse 8. For every wise-hearted man among them that wrought the work of the tabernacle made 10 curtains of fine twine linen and blue and purple and scarlet. So when you go back, and if you ever see me at any old Israelite stuff, summits, I did that because I knew in my heart, in my head, in my mind, I had no idea how important red, white, and blue is. I'm sorry. Replace the white with purple. You get it now? See, we're programmed to know red, white, and blue, but not red, purple, and blue. My son, at the age of 7 years old, he looked up at me and said, they only changed one color. He had a big old glass. I said, what you say? He said, they only changed one color. They just changed the purple to white, Abba. I said, oh my God, I love you, son. He just kind of did like this little boyish laugh. And from then on, I'm going through the scriptures. I'm seeing the 3 holy colors everywhere. And you have to know that because it represents something so much more. Josephus tells us, and I have to teach. I have to read. I have to read. Exodus chapter 36, verse 9. And the length of the curtain was 12 cubits, 12 and 8 cubits. And the breadth of one curtain was 4 cubits. And the curtains were all of one size. Verse 10. And he coupled the 5 curtains, one to the other. And the other 5 curtains he coupled one to the other. And he made loops of blue on the edge of the curtain from the selvage in the coupling. Likewise he made in the uttermost side of the other curtain and a coupling of a second. Let me help you. I know that might sound like a lot. You may have never heard this. Here's all it is. The curtains for the tabernacle of Yahawah It was 5 on this side, 5 on this side. All right. I apologize. 5 curtains. This is a curtain, this curtain, this curtain, this curtain. And on the sides of them, God said, attach them together. He said, attach, 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 attach. He said, attachment. That's all it is. It sounds complicated, but once you look around at your house and you look up at your curtains and you see those little hooks that are on your curtains, and when you was a little kid, you might have played with them. Like, oh, these little curtain hooks. I think all kids did it. I know I did. Those little pins, those little, and they got like little, and they pins here. Those are what Yahawah is talking about right here. And as adults, we don't teach it to our children, or we don't recognize it enough. It's nothing new. Curtain pins are taches. It's like, yo, that's it. These were made of pure gold, pure silver, pure electrium. It's not brass. It's not copper. It's called electrium. Is the name of the metal that Aholiab and the children of Israel, we knew how to make it. I'd love to teach you about electrium, but let's read on. The temple of Yahawah shined brighter than what you think. Verse 12. 50 loops made he in one curtain, because you have to attach the curtains together. And 50 loops made he on the edge of the curtain, which was in the coupling of the second. The loops held the curtain one to another. And he made 50 taches. That word just means to attach. He made 50 taches of gold and coupled the curtains one to another with taches. So it became one tabernacle. Verse 14. And he made curtains of goat's hair for the tent over the tabernacle. 11 curtains he made them. The length of one curtain was 30 cubits, and 4 cubits was the breadth of one curtain. And 11 curtains were in one size. It may sound like a lot, but once you see the picture, it's beautiful. Yahawah made a garment for a golden temple. He just made the sleeves and he attached the panels together. And he said, now lay this over my house. And it was waterproof. I'd love to go into details, but let's go forward. Even more than going into details, I want you to look for yourself. That's what did it for me. Once I seen it, I couldn't unsee it. And then it's going to be greater than what we've seen. Come on, man. I got to read, man. This is ridiculous. The water, y'all. Verse 17. And he made 50 loops upon the uttermost part of the curtain in the coupling, and 50 loops he made in the edge of the curtain, which coupled the second. And he made 50 taches of electrium. It is not brass. If you're wondering what electrium is whenever you make copper, brass, and gold, melt them all together, it gives off a whole different light. It's called electrium. Look it up. It has properties I would love to talk about. My point is to say this story is greater than you think, and you're greater than you know. You have more than you think. Verse 18, and he made 50 taches of electrium, brass, to couple the tents together, that it might be one. And he made a covering for the tents of ram skins dyed red, a covering of badger skins above that. And he made the boards of the tabernacle of shittim wood. Before we go down to the boards and the tabernacle, etc., let's stop right here at the curtains. So in and off of the curtains, Yahawah is just amazing. So there are some animals that are just flat out wonderfully water resistant. They just. And to have an immovable small city made out of gold and silver that black people lived in, you got that right, we gods. I'm gonna start saying it like instead of saying you got dang right, I'm gonna say you got that right, we gods. From what I know, from what I read, not what I guessed, and from what I've seen by looking at and studying antiquities and precepting it with the Bible, which is what we do. The other nations, they said that our temple looked like it was mixed with the sky. Like, you're not seeing this all the way. Blue, purple, and scarlet are the primary colors of everything. Red, blue, and purple, the first basis. And if you look at them and if they're mingled and mixed together, it's such a beautiful mixture. Now look at them at nighttime and it's the same color as the sky and the stars. Imagine that with a pillar of fire light coming from Yahawah Almighty on top of a golden and silver and electrium temple. The temple was longer than 2 football fields and it was taller than 6 feet. I'm sorry, 60 feet. You know what I'm saying? So from a distance, other nations are looking at the beauty and the glory of what we owned, but also what we lost. The Most High equivocates a beautiful woman that organizes her house, who loves her husband. He equivocates a righteous woman. Let me get this straight too. Beauty is not external. There's a lot of ugly, beautiful women. Nice, neat, meek, dainty, kind, quiet, sweet. I believe I learned that from Quan Ash. So a beautiful woman is equivocated to the temple of Yahawah in the book of Sirach, chapter 26. Go and read it for yourself. It's the same chapter where it says a shameless woman shall be counted as a dog. Read up a couple verses before it. It talks about a virtuous woman and how she's as beautiful as the golden pillars upon sockets of silver when the sun shines high in the eastern sky. Exodus chapter 36, verse 20. And he made boards of the tabernacle of shittim wood standing up. The length of one board was 10 cubits, and the breadth of one board was 1 cubit and a half. One board was 2 tenons, equally distant one from another. Thus did he make all the boards of the tabernacle. Let me explain. It was a tall Lego block. Sounds funny? Isaiah Yasha'Allah going off? I've been called worse. The tabernacle of the Most High was built with what's called shittim wood, which is a wood that has a citrus. It has an automatic defense against all insects. Also, it heals itself. So you ain't about to just destroy shittim wood. It's not going to rot. You're not going to encase it in gold and then it dust later. No, it's going to stay there. Yahawah made a plant that lasts forever and then put it inside of a material that you're not going to just scratch up. But at the bottom of these boards were 2 tenons. A tenon is the same thing that you see on a Lego block. If you have a Lego block, you take it off. Everybody knows a Lego block. Please don't step on one at 2 a.m. on the way to the bathroom. I love you, Shariah. Don't step on Legos. Those Legos have little bloop, 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 bloop. Those pieces that click in at the top of the Lego, that's called a tenon. Let me draw this picture for you real quick. I won't be long. 1 rectangle, 2 rectangles, 3 rectangles. Boom. If you can see this, imagine this being all gold. Imagine this being all gold. It's set inside of a base, which was the foundation. So when the scripture says right here, and they made boards of the tabernacle, 20 boards on the south side. All right. The south side wall is the wall that the menorah set on. So I want to give you a visual picture. Put the menorah in your head. Hold up your right hand. Wherever you're standing, if you can face the east, face it. Wherever you're standing, right in front of you is the great, beautiful blue, purple, scarlet curtain. Almost like, go potty, please, go potty, please, go potty. Great job. And to your left hand, there's a menorah on a wall by your left eye. That way, there's a menorah over there. To your right hand, there's a table, and the table ain't very tall. It's probably about waist high, knee high. It's got a whole bunch of loaves of bread on it. It's got some other stuff too. It's got some incense and frankincense and myrrh. So that wall where the menorah is the south wall. Behind you is the east wall. Your back is facing the east. That means the light should be coming towards you. This means everything that's in front of you is illuminated. You got 4 golden pillars right behind you. You have a huge menorah that's 7 feet, 6 feet tall to the left. You have a small table to the right of you, probably 4 feet tall. Welcome to the tabernacle of the Most High. The south wall, all huge Lego blocks. One piece, not a bunch of clicker clicks. One tall, long Lego piece. Seemed perfect. So perfectly together. Put so perfectly together, you can't even tell that there's a line there. Verse 24, Exodus chapter 36. And 40 sockets of silver. Now, this is where our Legos click down into. The pieces in the ground were silver. We'll go over it more later. I have to use discretion. We got to read through this. And 40 sockets of silver he made under the twin boards, 2 sockets under one board for its 2 tenons, 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. And the other side of the tabernacle, which is toward the north corner, he made 20 boards. So where the table of showbread is, it's 20 boards on that side. Good job. Almost. Go ahead, rest. The water. So there's 20 on this side, 20 on this side. So you know which wall we're looking at. Remember that the north wall has the table of showbread, south wall has the menorah, the west wall has the Ark of the Covenant in the very back, and in front of it, it has the altar of incense, all right? And the east is the door. So face the east when you pray, please. All right. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 47 and 46. Please pray and face the east. Exodus chapter 35 and verse 27. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward, he made 6 boards. Why were there only 6? Because the tabernacle was not as wide as it was long. Huh? No, Exodus chapter 36, verse 28. And 2 boards he made he for the corners of the tabernacle and the 2 sides, and they were coupled beneath and coupled together at the head thereof at one ring. Thus he did to both of them in both of the corners. Verse 30. And there were 8 boards, and their sockets were 16 sockets of silver. Under every board, 2 sockets. And he made boards of shittim wood, 5 for the boards on one side of the tabernacle, and 5 for the boards on the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 bars for the boards of the tabernacle for the sides westward. Here's our image, our drawing again. So imagine a bunch of these going all the way across, right? So you have a whole bunch of these. These are our boards. Remember, these are all made of gold. You got a whole bunch of them, right? Boom. Now, all of these belong to you, African Americans. This is still your wealth. You still own this. These clicked together this way. They clicked into each other, and then they clicked downward into their bases. Now, after they were assembled, there had to be something. If you know anything about building a foundation, a structure, or a wall, if you put a wall straight up, there's nothing to hold it except the bottom. So the wall is going to lean forward, or the wall is going to lean backwards, and it's going to fall. So what you have to do is you have to put a bar through all of these to hold all of these together. Does that make sense? So we have 3 bars. Yahawah is an ingenuitive, genius master of all creation universe. I know that just looked like I scratched out a bunch of stuff, but it really is a tabernacle wall. You'll see it later. I have to stick to the script. Finish reading. Verse 33. And he made a middle bar to shoot through the boards from one end to the other, and he overlaid the boards with gold, and he made rings of gold to be placed for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. And he made a veil of blue, purple, and scarlet of fine twined linen with cherubims. He made it of cunning work. And he made thereunto 4 pillars of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. Their hooks were of gold, and he cast them 4 sockets of silver. And he made an hanging of the tabernacle door of blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen of needlework, and fine pillars of it with their hooks. And he overlaid their chapiters and their fillets with gold. But their sockets were electrium, brass. Kalashira, the body Yahawah, Na'aisha, Wana Shemai. All that Yahawah has said will we do and hear. I can't go too far, but with having the precept master on the phone, I got to at least get one precept for the people. Ecclesiasticus Sirach chapter 26 KJV. let's share this page. Let's go here real quick. I'm going to come right back to the temple of tabernacle. I would like to go into the history and the antiquities of events that happened at our tabernacle and our temple, so you all could know, but we don't have time to do that right now. So let's do what the Father's given us. So this is Ecclesiastes chapter 26, if everybody can see it. He starts off with teaching us about this type of daughter. He starts out about talking about that type of daughter. But then, hold on. But then what happens is Yahawah goes from talking about that type of daughter to talking about this type of daughter. See that? See? Not up there. Not that, because that type of daughter does that. All right. We don't want that one. Okay. This is the type of daughter we're referring to when we're looking at the tabernacle of the Most High. We're in TORAH chapter 26, verse 13. The grace of a wife delighteth her husband, and her discretion will fatten his bones. A silent and loving woman is a gift from the Lord, and there is nothing so much work as a mind well instructed. A shamefaced faced and faithful woman is a double grace, and her continent cannot be valued. As the sun when it riseth in the high heaven, so is the beauty of a good wife in the ordering of her house. As the clear light is upon the holy candlestick. See, the Most High's word should put a picture in your mind. Everybody has an imagination. You can't tell me you don't. You can't. Tell me that you don't dream. You don't have control of your dreams. They're like, well, shoot, I don't dream. Let the Most High send you a dream, then tell me you don't dream. The Father gave us a vision, a visual, a gift to be able to go inside of our mind and still use our imagination. When you read, which is why I love reading, you should be able to see these things based off of what you've seen in nature. I can see sunrises. I've seen sunrises. One of my ribs' name is Sunrise. I've seen sunrises. Traveling, walking, watching trains. And when the sun rises on the high heaven, you get a beautiful, brand new sky that you will never see again. You only get one morning every day, so don't waste it. If you get the opportunity to be able to see the sunrise, take it. You'll never see that sunrise again. Yahawah paints a picture in the sky every day, and it only lasts for so long. Sometimes there'll be pink and blue and purple, and the sunlight will be red. And you mean to tell me I can see the three holy colors in the sky at sunrise? Yes, you can. It's amazing. We just don't look for it anymore because we don't have that child mind. But you can also, in your mind, we do have that child mind. You have to utilize it. If you imagine the beauty of the sun rising on any occasion, and then you put a clear light of the candlestick, we know that the candlestick is the menorah. Over 7 foot tall, 7 branch, 70 sections. 70 sections, because the menorah represents the planets, it represents the universe, it represents what's called the Decani. The Decani are the divisions of the if you can imagine a beautiful morning, and you can imagine a beautiful morning light, or just that sky shining off of a golden, glorious menorah, that was just the one that the Most High made. Just the Most High says, so is the beauty of a face in ripe age. I've heard a shameless woman is counted as a dog. I've heard that. I've said that. How many times have I heard and said that, sister, your good walk and your ripe face makes you as beautiful as a morning that lights up the menorah. Yahawah is good. The Most High says, 18, as the golden pillars are upon the sockets of silver. See, now you got a picture in your head because we read about it in the Torah. This is why Masha, Moses, Ezra, this is why the prophets, this is why Yahawah stood and read the law as our custom is. If you're not doing your custom, you might let something else replace your custom, and then that might make your custom seem as not important. Well, you don't want to be like Esau and forsake your heritage, right? Ain't that what Esau did? Esau forsook his heritage, his birthright. He forsook his birthright. So If you read the Torah consistently over and over, and if you read it in the succession that the Most High showed us that the other nations know how to do, and then you go read the scriptures, you find these beautiful precepts that go with something that you already know. And the picture is more painted beautifully in your head. As the clear light upon the holy candlestick, so is the beauty of a right face and age. As the golden pillars are upon the sockets of silver, so are the fair feet with constant heart. So when I think of golden pillars, sockets of silver, that's the temple of my God. I don't think about the United States and the White House or the Kremlin. I don't think about any other monument but the monument of Yahawah. And he says that's what a good virtuous woman is equivocated to. And some women aren't striving to be the temple of Yahawah. And some are. So hopefully in reading or hearing that, you can say, hey, I want to be like that. Well, we want you to be like that. So the Tabernacle of the Most High, this chapter is not about women at all whatsoever, but I want to, if I can, encourage women to put on the Tabernacle of the Most High, be more adorned, be more beautiful, not just outward ornate, but see to have those strong bones like shittim wood, We can go into the virtue of a good man, a good woman, but that is a whole nother lesson. This right here is for our people to be able to see the glory and the greatness of Yahawah, what he gave to us, and what we have future and waiting coming. I encourage everybody to go and look up antiquity writers and find out what happened at the tabernacle, what happened at the temple. This is at the building of it, and after the building of it, you can read 1 Kings chapter 7, and you can see that Yahawah gave a prayer, King Solomon gave a prayer to Yahawah on new moon, because when all of this got done, all of this building of the tabernacle, the temple, when King Solomon finished it, it was on new moon. All right, this King Solomon's example is even much greater. Let's read on. All right, Exodus chapter 37, verse 1. And Bezaleel and Aholiab made an ark of shittim wood. 2 cubits and a half was the length of it, and a cubit and a half the breadth of it, and a cubit and a half the height of it. So remember, I told everybody, put your left hand forward. When your left hand is put forward, stretch it all the way out. On the back side of your left hand, that's the direction of the menorah. Lift out your right hand. On the back side of your right hand, you're standing, your back is facing the tabernacle of Yahawah. You're standing inside of it. To the back side of your right hand is the table of showbread, just a little bit lower. Just a little bit lower. And in front of you directly is now what you're visually looking at. This is what Bezaleel and Aholiab made. Exodus chapter 37, verse 1. And Bezaleel and Aholiab made an ark, the ark of the covenant made an ark. Let's just read on. All right. Of shittim wood, 2 cubits and a half was the length of it, and a cubit and a half the breadth of it, and a cubit and a half the height of it. And he overlaid it with pure gold, without and within. Go potty, please. Bible potty. Good morning. Go potty. Do you need to potty? And he overlaid it with gold and made a crown round to go round about. And that's something that people don't point out, is that the Ark of the Covenant had a crown on it. This crown of the Ark of the Covenant is the seat or the throne of the living God, Yahawah. Verse 3. And he cast 4 rings of gold. And he cast 4 rings of gold to be set in the 4 corners of it, even 2 rings upon one side of it, and 2 rings upon the other side of it. And he made staves of shittim wood and overlaid them with gold. And he put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark to bear the ark. And he made the mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half was the length thereof, and 1 cubit and a half the breadth thereof. And he made 2 cherubims of gold, beaten out of one piece, made he them on the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherubim on one end of this side, on this side, and 1 cherubim on the other end of this side. Out of the mercy seat made he the cherubims on the two ends, and the cherubim spread their wings on high and covered with their wings over the mercy seat, with their faces one to the other, even to the mercy seats were the faces of the cherubim. Verse 10. And he made a table of shittim wood. Now, before we go forward, let's go ahead and stop right here. So for everybody who does know, this little symbol right here is a pilcrow. So quick break for those who know. Don't lose your patience. All right. And watch this. So this symbol right here in your Bible is known as what's called a pilcrow, or a blind P, or a backwards P. Let me open up this window over here. I'm going to come and share the screen set. So whenever you're reading your Bibles and you see this typographical symbol, what you see is that now the subject of what you're about to read is about to change. So when you're reading about the furniture of Yahawah, the artifacts of Yahawah, and you see, okay, well, we just read about, this type of desk or this type of table. It's like a box, and it has staffs in it so it can be carried. It's got a gold crown around it, and it's got angels on it facing their wings towards each other. Okay, well, we just read about the Ark of the Covenant, and when you get to a certain verse, you're going to see this symbol right here in your Bibles, because sometimes we aren't taught how to read our Bibles. This lets you know that the subject matter is about to change. Yeah, I was talking about this the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm done talking about that. Now it's time for me to tell you about this. So that's what that symbol is. It's called a blind P, or a backwards P. Okay, it's called a pilcrow. All right, this is it. The pilcrow symbol, paragraph mark, signifies a new paragraph used in editing paragraph breaks in legal, academic writing, and referencing, as well as web design, anchor, link, symbol, synonyms, and related terms included in paragraph mark, paragraph sign. All right. So whenever you see that in your 1611 King James Bible, that's what that means. All right. So let's. So whenever we're reading and you're going through your 1611, you're going through your Bible, and you see this marker, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing what's called also a pilcrow, or paragraph mark. So here it is right here. And again, like I said, a lot of times we aren't shown how to read a Bible. And since we aren't shown how to read a Bible, and since we aren't shown, and since we aren't taught how to read a Bible, we might see these examples, but we don't know exactly what they are. Okay. So hopefully that will be helpful. All right. And when you start your journey, you know what I'm saying? Or if you know somebody like, yo, I see the Bible, but I don't get it. Like, I don't understand what it means. You know what I'm saying? Well, there it goes. That's what it means. All right. So let's get back to it real quick. This week's Torah portion. We're going to continue on. All right. Here's our screen. Let's put it on the side so you all can see. All right. We're going to enlarge that up. Booyah. All right. Let's go to our page. So with that being said, we are officially in the book of Exodus. Okay. Exodus chapter 37, and we are in verse 10. Here's our pilcrow. That's why we went there, so we can learn what that means. So we just learned about the Ark of the Covenant. Now, the Ark of the Covenant, people say, is in Ethiopia. The Ark of the Covenant is not in Ethiopia. Ethiopians do not have the Ark of the Covenant. Again, I repeat, Africans, Hamites, Canaanites, the children of the children of Ham. I'll just keep it clean and let's finish this out. It's rumored, and there's a huge thing that's going on right now with the Ethiopian Bible. A lot of Israelites and people are researching into it, which you should do. It's nothing wrong with that. Stick with the Hebrew first. But the Ethiopians do not have the Ark of the Covenant. All right, that's something that's already been proven and shown from the book of Maccabees. Okay, you might see it on a documentary or something like, is it true the Ark of the Covenant could be possibly hidden in an undisclosed location that no one really knows of, but rumored to be in Ethiopia? You're like, what the heck? You just gave me a whole bunch of speculation. La'a shadai kaya, la'a shakwat, shab shab wa shakwat aita, the water. Shh. And he made, Exodus chapter 37, verse 10, the water benaf, Exodus chapter 37, verse 10. So now we're going to look at the table of shittim wood, right? Exodus chapter 37, verse 10. And he made a table of shittim wood. 2 cubits was the length thereof, 2 cubits the breadth thereof, a cubit and a half the height thereof. And he overlaid with pure gold and made thereto a crown round about. And he made unto a border of it a handbreadth round about, and made a crown of gold for the border thereof round about. Verse 13. And he cast for it 4 rings of gold, and put in the rings upon the 4 corners that were in the feet thereof, over against the border where the rings he placed for the staves to bear the table. And he made the staves of shittim wood and overlaid them with gold to bear the table. And he made the vessels which were upon the table, his dishes and his spoons and his bowls and his covers, to cover with all of pure gold. I want to stop right there. We're going to go to Exodus chapter 37, verse 17 next. Something that is very important to know is whenever we were invaded by the other nations, they robbed all of these things that we're reading about right now. But you actually find about, I know Elder Yahawah and some other elders that are very good at the numerical part. Numbers really aren't my strong point, but I'm getting stronger at it. So within certain books, we can find antiquities. That's my thing. We can find where these Gentiles stole thousands of spoons, thousands of cups, thousands of bowls, and it's like, yo, where did all of this come from? You know, and these aren't just dishware that was sitting around the house. These were actually artifacts that King Solomon, that Masha had stored up, King David had stored up. You know, not just 1 or 2. It's not just like there was a table and there was a menorah and there was a show. No. Remember, as we started reading this, everybody brought too much gold, too much silver, too much electrium. Notice I keep saying that instead of brass or copper. And the reason being is because I want you to get to know the phrase electrium so you can look it up, so you can see how beautiful the tabernacle of the Most High was. Electrium could be equivocated like a metal that's like kind of silver, but it has streaks that goes through it and it gives off electricity. It's weird. Electrium is like the real Wakanda stuff, you know, that metal. That's what electrium really is for, you know, for Yahshua. All right, but let's read on because we're running out of time. Shaddai Kaya, that's not okay, because the more excited you get, the more excited she gets, and I need us to stay relaxed and calm so we can finish reading. Khan, so it's Shabbat Pa'im. Khan, it's rest time. Shaddai Shab Tuah. Good job. Thank you, Benaf. Thank you, Duwada. All praise. Thank you, Benaf. Exodus chapter 37, verse 18. Exodus chapter 37, verse 17. Right now we're at one of my favorites, which I would just love to spend all day talking about. Exodus chapter 37, verse 17. And he made a candlestick of pure gold of beaten work. Made he the candlestick, his shaft, that's the middle part, and his branches. Those are the 6 branches to the side, the 6 branches to the other side. All right. His bowls, those are the little, those are the top parts. His knops, those are the little dots that's in the middle. His flowers, and those are the decorations that are going down the side of it. But I don't want anybody to misunderstand. It wasn't just flowers going down the side. The knops and the flowers, you have to, I'm going to encourage everybody. I want to encourage everybody, just do your own homegrown research on the old school menorahs. And I would love to be able, maybe after class, I can share some information. Flavius Josephus, he taught us that the menorah represented the Decani. And I was like, what's the Decani? I was like, I've never heard that phrase. So Flavius Josephus is an accredited historian worldwide. And some people don't teach from him. I don't understand why Hebrew Israelites don't teach from menorah. Actually, yes, I do. Because Flavius Josephus contradicts their doctrine. Flavius Josephus, when he teaches us about the menorah, he teaches us that the antiquity of it, you know, is so much greater than what it was. It was actually, it had cosmic significance. The menorah, Shia, please don't hit me like that. The menorah and its branches had cosmic significance in the degree of when you actually look at it, it represents not only the sun, but it represents the 6 planets that are around us. All right. So I want to get a quick graph. And some people, this is not going into Kabbalahism. This isn't going into no extra Jewish stuff. This is actually antiquity that I'm talking about. I like to study astronomy. I like to study astronomy. So when I found the menorah in science, I'm like, wait a minute, it's not just a candlestick. Here's some imagery of the what's called the relief of the menorah. All right. And as we see, we never gonna see the 1 second, Banaf Khan. That's the holy candle, it's the menorah. And those are the two vessels of oil next to it. These are the Gentiles with ivy on their head. This is how you know that they're the Greeks. All right. Because you can tell that they have the ivy on their head, and this is the carrying away of it. But as much as I like to continue in that, I think we should continue in reading. So let's lead forward. Exodus chapter 37, verse 17. And he made the candlestick of pure gold, of beating work made he the candlestick. His shaft and his branch, his bowl, his knops, and his flowers were of the same. And 6 branches going out the side thereof, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side thereof, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side thereof. 3 bowls made after the fashion of almonds in one branch, a knop and a flower, and 3 bowls made like almonds in the other branch, a knop and a flower. And through the 6 branches, and throughout the 6 branches going out of the candlestick, and in the candlestick were 4 bowls like almonds, his knops and his flowers, and a knop under the 2 branches of the same, and a knop under the 2 branches of the same, and a knop under the 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches going out of it. Now, here's the tricky part. If you actually count this, it does come up to 70. It's 70 sections. Now, verse 22, their knops and their branches were all of the same, all of one beaten work of pure gold. This means the menorah wasn't crafted together. The menorah was one solid piece, and on top of that, it could spin, right? So love to talk about that another time. And he made his 7 lamps and his snuffers and his snuff dishes of pure gold, because when you light the menorah, you know what I'm saying, you have to be able to have the tools to be able to take care of it. And of 1 talent of pure gold made he it, and all the vessels thereof. And he made the incense altar. Now, if you notice right here, we're in verse 25, but in verse 25, we have the symbol, which is called the pilcrow. All right, say pilcrow. Great job. And Exodus 37, verse 25. And he made the incense of altar of shittim wood. The length of it was 1 cubit, and the breadth of it was 4 square, and 2 cubits. The breadth of it, a cubit. It was 4 square, and 2 cubits was the height of it. And the horns thereof were the same. And he overlaid it with pure gold, both the top of it and the sides thereof round about. And the horns of it also he made it unto gold, unto a crown of gold round about. And he made 2 rings of gold of it under the crown thereof, by the 2 corners of it, upon the 2 sides thereof, to be placed for the staves to bear it through all. And he made the staves of shittim wood and overlaid them with gold. Verse 29, and he made a holy anointing oil and the pure incense of sweet spice, according to the work of apothecary. Repeat after me. Kala Shara, Debar Yahawah, Na Aisha, Wa Na Shemai. All that Yahawah has said, will we do and hear. Now, if anybody's wondering why do we say that, because at the end of Exodus chapter 19, now everybody's familiar with what's called the 10 Commandments, right? So when we finish reading the chapter, hold on 1 second. Exodus chapter 19, KJV, Blue Letter Bible. Yeah, oh man. So Exodus chapter 19, what it teaches us is that the Most High showed us how to operate before he came to give us the 10 Commandments. So Exodus chapter 20 is where we actually receive the 10 Commandments, right? All right, and I want to encourage you, if you can, learn the 10 Commandments in Hebrew. Learn the 10 Commandments in Hebrew, because they actually have a different meaning, okay? So Exodus chapter 19, you should be able to see this screen, verse 1. Now, we're going to get back to our Torah portion reading, but I want to show you why do we say, Kala Sharah, the body Yahawah, na Aisha, wa na Shamai. Kala Sharah, the body Yahawah, na Aisha, wa na Shamai. Why do we say that? In the third month, when the children of Israel, who? When the children of Israel. When the Baptist? Nope. Pentecostal? Nope. Every nationality in the world? Nope. When the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Montezadium, of Egypt, the same day they came into the wilderness, right? Now watch this. Verse 4, Yahawah says, ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle wings and brought you unto myself. Yes, Yahawah, we seen how you flooded their land, how you made blood and fire, you know what I'm saying, destroy them, how you made locusts and what else? We seen that. Yes, Lord. Right? Now, what does he says? He says, verse 5, watch this. Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, so we're supposed to keep Yahawah's law, statutes, commandments, like a lot of you are doing today. You're keeping the Shabbat, you're not working, you're not buying, you're not selling, you're in your homes, your domains, you're resting. This day is designated that Yahawah gave for you. He didn't make this day for you to continue being a slave to anybody, your employer, your addiction, your sex life, your I don't know what else people struggle with. You know, I don't know. The Most High made the Shabbat day as a day for it to be done with, and for you to be able to focus on Him and your mashpachah and your family, and that will make things better for you ultimately, right? So he says, now therefore, if you hear my voice indeed and keep my covenant, then you will be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. I've never seen where all nations will be equal to Israel, for all the earth is mine. And ye shall be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. All right. There's not going to be any other priest in the 12 tribes of Israel in the new kingdom. No, a holy nation, not going to be equal. Let's get that straight. All right. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people and laid before their faces all the words which Yahawah commanded them. And all the people answered together. We're right here, Exodus chapter 19, verse 8. And all the people answered together and said, what? All that the Lord has spoken, we will do. You understand that? Now, this is before Yahawah said, thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt have no other God before me. Thou shalt not commit adultery. This is before that. Now, if I did a quick search, I could probably find this phrase in a couple different places and give it to you. But I don't know them all. What I do know is that in several places within our own history, within our own literature, we made a covenant to Yahawah. And we said, all that God has said, the Lord has said, we will do. All right. So that's why we said it at the end of our Torah portion readings. There's nothing wrong with that. Were you a heathen Israelite? You don't want to agree that all that Yahawah said you will do? What's wrong with that? Right? So we want to teach that. The body Yahawah, Naisha, Wanashimai. If anybody's in our group and you know how to text that, and if you're watching on YouTube, please text that for somebody else to learn. Exodus chapter 38, and we only have 2 more chapters to go pertaining to the law. And then after that, Shariah, please don't untie that. Shariah, don't do that. That's not meant to come off. Baba Kusha, Khan, La'ah, because it's not playtime, because that's loud time. It's it's quiet time. Khan, the water. Exodus chapter 38, verse 1. And he made an altar of burnt offering of shittim wood. Now we see the great barbecue grill of Yahawah. Now we see the great barbecue pit. Now we see why niggas love barbecue. Why do black people love barbecue? Because in our culture, every day and every night, that's all we smelled. Frankincense and myrrh and lamb. Frankincense and myrrh and goat. Frankincense and myrrh and beef ribs. Frankincense and myrrh and... See? And they made an altar of burnt offering of shittim wood. 5 cubits was the height thereof, 5 cubits the breadth thereof. It was 4 square, and 3 cubits the height thereof. And he made the horns thereof of 4. The horns, he made the horns thereof of on the 4 corners of it. The horns, therefore, were of the same. He overlaid it with electrium, with brass. Couldn't be gold, couldn't be silver. Gold and silver wouldn't handle the heat of consistent fire. Gold and remember, this altar that we had, the fire of it wasn't meant to go out. This altar that we had, the fire of it was started by Yahawah. You don't remember? Here, let me remind you. There was once a man, and he had 4 sons. 2 of his sons was designated to do the sacrifice of God on the great grand opening. Well, unfortunately, they did the sacrifices of the gods of Egypt. Boom! The Most High sent a lightning bolt and burnt up these men. The point of saying such is to say the initial starting of the fire of the tabernacle altar of the Most High was started by him himself. Isn't that interesting? Moses didn't get down there and light it. He done this multiple times, sent down fire, which is really interesting because when I studied Josephus and I try to see is fire and electricity of the same or similar elements. They're 2 different elements, but electricity does cause fire, and also vice versa. Fire can actually cause electricity. There's volcanoes that have both of them coming out of them, but we'll talk about that another time. Let's get back to this. That's a whole nother doctrine. All right. Exodus chapter 38 and verse 2. And he made the horns thereof of 4 corners of it. On the 4 corners of it, the horns thereof were of the same. And he overlaid it with brass. And he made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, and the shovels, and the basins, and the flesh hooks, and the fire pans, and the vessels thereof he made of what? Electrium, of brass. All of these have cleaning properties. The gold and the silver wouldn't handle the heat of the constant beating and the abuse. All right. The Most High wants something that's going to last forever, like a people, something, a nation that's going to worship him forever. All right. You're going to be tried through the fire. Right. So verse 4, and he made the altar of brazen grate, a network under a compass thereof beneath unto the midst of it. And this is to catch the ashes, the skulls, the bones, the bar. You know how you have a grate under your barbecue pit. Stop acting like y'all don't know what a barbecue grill looks like. This is a huge barbecue grill. All right. For Yahawah. And he cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grate of brass to be pieces, to be placed for the staves, or in other words, to be carried. And he made the staves or the staffs of shittim wood and overlaid them with brass. And he put the staves into the rings on the sides of the altar to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards. We are in Exodus chapter 38, verse 8. And he made the laver of brass. Now, the laver is where the Israelites, the Levites specifically, will wash the blood from their hands, from their feet, from their chest, because it was slaughtering, sacrificing animals. Well, this also had to be made of something that had cleaning properties in it also. Couldn't be just gold or silver. It had to be a material that would not only kill bacteria, kill infection, but also wouldn't let, would charge the water. You know what I'm saying? That's what electrium would do, or brass. Verse 9. And he made the court of the south side, southward. The hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, their brazen sockets 20, their hooks of pillars and their fillets of silver. Verse 11. And for the north side, the hangings were 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, their sockets of brass 20, their hooks and pillars and fillets of silver. We're in the book of Exodus chapter 38, verse 12. If you love to read along, or if you're just listening, and if you like, where did I read that at? We're in the book of Exodus chapter 38, verse 12, reading on down, verse 12. And for the west side were hangings. Remember, everybody, that west side wall, what it looks like. What's on the west side wall? Pop quiz. What's on the east side wall? What's on the north side, south side wall? I'll give you the answers. On the north side wall, you have the table of showbread. South side wall, you have the menorah. On the west side wall, you have the Ark of the Covenant, the altar of incense. And on the east side, you have the door of the tabernacle, which would be behind us, which leads out towards the court where the sacrifices are being done. Verse 13, Exodus chapter 38. And for the east side, eastward, 40 cubits. The hangings of one court on one side of the gate were 15 cubits. Their pillars 3, their sockets 3, and for the other side of the court gate, on this hand and on that were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3 and their sockets 3. All of the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen, which means that it was the blue, purple, and scarlet mingled together. All right. So the blue, purple, and scarlet and the gold mingled together. Do you know how dope you got to be as a nation, as a people, as a creator to come up with the concept of, we know that diamond cuts glass, but what cuts diamond? What cuts emerald? What cuts ruby? What cuts onyx? What cuts the stones that are in the 12 tribes of the breastplate and on the shoulders of the high priest were stones that were engraven with the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. What genius do you have to be in order to do that without chipping and or breaking and write in perfect Paleo Hebrew the names of the 12 tribes? Please don't take that off. Soraya, La Daza, don't do that. La Shemai, Abba Shemai Laka, Shemai Abba, Baba Kusha. Exodus chapter 38, verse 17. And the sockets, we right here. Shemai Abba or Shab Shab Abba. And the sockets of the pillars were of brass, the hooks and the pillars and the fillets of silver, and the overlaying of their chapters of silver, and all the pillars of the court were filled with silver. We're in Exodus chapter 38, verse 18. I hear you, Shadiah, but you have to shab. You have to wait, but now, Baba Kusha, please. And the hangings of Exodus chapter 38, verse 18, and the hangings of the gate of the court was needlework of blue, of purple, of scarlet, and fine twined linen. And 20 cubits was the length, and the height of the breadth was fine. In the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the court, which means it fit the same dimensions. It wasn't awkward. Like it wasn't like a tabernacle when it had on a suit that was too big. It fit perfectly. Verse 19, and the pillars were 4, and the sockets of brass 4, and the hooks of silver, and the overlaying of the chapters, and their fillets of silver. And all the pins of the tabernacle and all the courts round about were brass. All right. And this is the sum of the tabernacle, even the tabernacle of the testimony, as it was counted according to the commandment of Mashah for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. And this always bothers me because I always think when it comes to this week's Torah portion, Levites should always read it, but you can't never find them. I don't know. Verse 22. And Bezaleel and son of Uri, the son of Hur, see, of the tribe of Judah, I apologize, of the tribe of Judah, made all Yahawah commanded Mashah. You see that? Bezaleel and right, the son of Uri, the son of Hur, of the tribe of Judah. So the inventor and the maker of the menorah is Yahawah. The craftsmanship creator, Yahawah used a black man, which is the grandson of Miriam. All right. So Miriam, of course, was a Levite, but she married a Judite. All right. So Exodus chapter 38, verse 23. And with him was Aholiab of Ithamar, of the tribe of Dan, an engraver, and a cunning workman, and an embroiderer in blue, and in purple, and scarlet, and fine linen. All the gold that was occupied for the work, and all the work of the holy place, even the gold of their offering, was 29 talents, and 730 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And the silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,715 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. And bakah for every man, a bakah for every man, that is half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary. After the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone that went to be numbered from 20 years old and upward, for 600,000 and 3,000, 600,000 and 3,000 and 550 men, and 100 talents of silver were cast in sockets of the sanctuary, and the sockets of the veil, and 100 sockets of 100 talents, a talent for a socket, and of 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillars, and overlaid their chapters and filled them. I'm sorry, some of y'all I've never, listen, I heard a number the other day. It was like this Zebullion. It was a crazy number. But the thought of it is, this is the wealth that the children of Israel still own. You might not feel like it today. But you got a treasure in heaven. That's why the Most High tells us to store our treasure in heaven, not just because of this right here, but man, you are rich, man. These are some crazy numbers. I love this. Let's get back to it. Verse 27, and 100 talents of silver were cast to the sockets of the sanctuary, and the sockets of the veil, and 100 sockets of, 100 sockets of 100 talents, a talent for a socket, and 1,775 shekels. He made hooks for the pillars and overlaid their chapiters and filleted them. Verse 29. For anyone that's looking in or reading, we're in the book of Exodus, chapter 38, verse 29, and we see our pilcrow. So since we see our pilcrow here, everybody, what does that mean? Since we see our pilcrow, that means that the subject matter is about to change. Verse 29. And the brass of the offerings was 20 talents and 2,400 shekels. And wherewith he made the sockets to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and the brazen altar, and the brazen grate for it, and all the vessels of the altar. Verse 31. And the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the court gate, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. Kala Shirah, the body Yahawah, Na Aisha, Wa Na Shamai. All that Yahawah said, what we do and hear. Hey, Shalom, Madawan. Yeah, Khan. Khan, I got you. Daiquap?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Saint?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello.
What you got for us?
I told you before I'm going to camp at 3, so
Okay.
it's already 2.
Shalom, Lakah. I appreciate you, man. We're gonna finish up this portion. We got 2 more chapters, man. I don't want to hold you up. You should prepare and get ready for that. We appreciate you. Thank you for your time, King.
All right, so I guess another time then.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Exodus chapter 39, verse 1. And the blue and the purple and the scarlet, they made clothes of service to do service in the holy place, and made the holy garments for Aaron, as Moses had commanded. Now, what I like to do is, after this, I like to actually set up I would like to have a time frame to where I could separately read this, because reading about the priest's garment, the ephod, and the things of such are absolutely phenomenal. All right. And he made the ephod of gold, right? The ephod of gold, blue and purple and scarlet and fine twined linen. And he did beat the gold into thin plates and cut it into wires. Have you ever thought about that? Having so much gold, you can cut it, melt it into thin plates, melt it into thin plates, and then cut those thin plates with scissors into wires. And those wires, you can actually stitch through stuff. That's amazing. And they did beat the gold into thin plates and cut it into wires to work it in the blue and in the purple and in the scarlet and in the fine linen with cunning work. They made shoulder pieces for it to couple it together. By the 2 edges was it coupled together. And the curious girdle of his ephod was upon it, was the same. That was upon it was the same, according to the work thereof, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, as Yahawah commanded Moses. And they wrought onyx stones enclosed in ouches of gold, ouch of gold, graven with signets, as signets are graven, with the names of the children of Israel. And he put on the shoulders of the ephod, that they should be stones for a memorial of the children of Israel, as Yahawah commanded Moses. He put them on the shoulders of the ephod, and that they should be stones for a memorial to the children of Israel, as Yahawah commanded Moses. And he made the breastplate of cunning work, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. It was 4 square. They made the breastplate double. A span was the length thereof, and a span the breadth thereof, being doubled. Here am I. Being doubled, and they set it in 4 rows of stones. The first row was a now here's something that you can do for your own fun. You can look up these stones, and you're going to end up coming up with different conclusions. All right, the Most High hid this wisdom, but he put it in front of us publicly. It's pretty amazing. Here am I. Hold on, Sadai. We're almost done. Okay, we're almost done. Hold on to Abba. Baba Kusha. Okay, Khan. Okay. The first was a sardis, a topaz, a carbuncle. This was the first row. The second row, an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. The third row, a ligure, and a agate, and an amethyst. The fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and jasper. They were enclosed in ouches of gold in their enclosings. And their stones were according to the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, one with his name according to the 12 tribes. And they made upon the breastplate chains at the end of wreathen work of pure gold. And they made 2 ouches of gold and 2 rings and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings in the 2 ends of the breastplate. And they put in the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings at the end of the breastplate. Let me read that again. That's Exodus chapter 39, verse 17. And they put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings in the end of the breastplate, and the 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains they fastened in the 2 ouches. They put on the shoulder piece, what does it say? Of the ephod before it. And they made 2 rings. What else? Let's go back up. Hold on. We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 39, verse 19. And they made 2 rings of gold and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate upon the border of it, which is on the side of the ephod inward. Verse 20. And they made 2 other golden rings and put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, toward the forefront of it, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. And they did bind that breastplate by his rings unto the ring of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it might be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate might not be loosened from the ephod, as Yahawah commanded Moses. And he made a robe of the ephod of woven work, all of blue. Verse 23. And there was a hole in the midst of the robe, and the hole was a harbington, with the band round about the hole, that it would not rent. So in other words, it had extra support. It was one full garment. Now, what we're describing, what we're reading is, I know this is a bunch of key and encrypted words. What we're reading about is how the high priest was dressed. Okay, how the high priest was dressed. He had high dignity, and it's just beautiful. All right, more beautiful than we can. I hope you can see it. All right. If anybody has any questions, just let's talk about it. Let's read on. And he did bind the breastplate. We're at verse 22. Ooh, look at our pilcrow, everybody. See our pilcrow in verse 22? And he made a robe of the ephod of woven work, all of blue. And there was a hole in the midst of the robe, verse 23. And the hole was a harbington with a band round about the hole, that it should not rent. And they made upon the hems of the robe pomegranates of blue and purple and scarlet, and twined linen. All right. And they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells and put the bells we're in the book of Exodus chapter 39 verse 25. And they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranate upon the hem of the robe, round about between the pomegranates, a bell and a pomegranate, round about the hem of the robe, to minister in, as Yahawah commanded Moshe, that they made. And they made coats of fine linen of woven work for Aaron and his sons, a mitre of fine linen. A mitre of fine linen, which would be a mitre of fine linen, and goodly bonnets of fine linen, and linen breeches of fine twined linen. Verse 29, Exodus chapter 39, and a girdle of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet of needlework, as Yahawah commanded Moshe. And they made a plate of a holy crown of pure gold, and wrote upon it a writing like the engravings of a signet, and it said, Holiness to Yahawah. Verse 31, and they tied unto it a lace of blue, and fastened it upon the mitre, as Yahawah commanded Moshe. So the high priest had a special type of crown, and I would love to read about that to you another time. Exodus chapter 39, verse 32. Thus was all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation finished, and the children of Israel did according to all that Yahawah commanded Moshe. So did they. Hallelujah. So we brought everything, we did everything. The completion of the tabernacle is finished. Great job. Everybody did good. Give yourselves a round of applause for participating in the building of the tabernacle of Yahawah. Yay. Verse 33. And they brought the tabernacle unto Moshe, Moses, the tent and all of his furniture, and his taches, and his boards, and his bars, his pillars, and his sockets, and his coverings of ram skins dyed red, and the covering of badger skin, and the veil of his covering, the ark of the testimony, and the staves thereof, the mercy seat, the table, and the vessels thereof, and the showbread, the pure candlestick with the lamps thereof, even the lamps to be set in order, and all the vessels thereof, and the oil for the light, and the golden altar, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the hanging of the tabernacle door, and the brazen altar, and the grate of brass, and his staves, and all his vessels, and the laver of his foot, the hangings of the court door, his pillars, and his sockets, and the hanging of the court gate, his cords, and his pans, and all the vessels of the service of the tabernacle for the tent of the congregation, his cloths of service to do service in the holy place, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and his son's garments to minister in the priest's office. We're at the book of Exodus, chapter 39, and verse 42. According to all that Yahawah commanded Moshe, so the children of Yasharallah made all the work. And Moshe did look upon all the work, and behold, they had done it as Yahawah had commanded, even so had they done it. And Moshe blessed them. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Kalashara, the body Yahawah, Na'aisha, Wanashamai. All that Yahawah has said, what we do and hear. We're in the book of Exodus, chapter 40, and we're going to read down to verse 38 for this Torah portion reading. Exodus chapter 40, verse 1. And Yahawah spake unto Moshe, saying, Wayah debar al Moshe amariam. On the first day of the month, shall thou set up a tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. 1 second, everybody, because Shariah did so good at being so patient. I want to just ask her one moment, please, and let's fulfill her needs. One moment, please, Baba Shariah. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to it. The water for being patient. Oh, sorry. All right, the water for being patient. All right, so appreciate everybody in the comment board. Thank you for being communicative. All right, speak to each other, speak to yourselves, man. Really appreciate that. The people need to hear it, man. So be participants. The book of Exodus, chapter 40, verse 1. Wayamar al-Mashah, and Moses spake, and Yahawah spake unto Moses, saying, on the first day of the month, this would be what is called new moon. Okay, so I would love to go into a new moon teaching breakdown, but whatever. So Exodus chapter 40, where if anybody would like to know about it, just hit me up, ask me about my new moon, ask me about my thoughts on new moon. Please don't bring that in here. Take that in there, please. The water, thank you. Go shop, Khan. The water. And the bar. So Exodus chapter 40, verse 2, right there gives you new moon. All right. On the first day of the month, thou shalt set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation, and thou shalt put therein the ark of the testimony and the ark with the veil. Hold that thought real quick. We are going to go from there to La Shadaya, La Baba Kusha, La Shakwat. All right. So we're going to go to hold on one second. No, come, come. Ma. Shot. All right, so Exodus chapter 40, verse 3, and thou shalt put therein the ark of the testimony and covenant with the veil, first day of the month. That's where we are. Exodus chapter 40, verse 2. My bad. Exodus chapter 40, verse 2. On the first day of the month, thou shalt set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. Pay this attention real quick. We are over here. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 8, KJV. All right, 1 Kings chapter 8. Let's share this screen. We're going to come back to, don't forget, we are in the book of Exodus, right? Now, remember, where we're reading from in this week's Torah portion is the end of the Exodus chapter of the Torah portion. As the Torah portion reads, if you stick with it, you will read the Bible in a year. Why don't you want to do it? Why don't you want to do it? Who convinced you that this was either a Jewish thing or something that they're just doing? If you finish the Torah portion as Christ's custom was, you'll finish the Bible in less than a year. It's ridiculous. All right. It's a lot easier to be relatable to people once you know what they're talking about, especially if you're a person who loves the Bible like we all do. Okay. So watch this. This is Exodus chapter 40, verse 2. In the first day of the month, thou shalt set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. It's called the tabernacle. It's the tabernacle of Yahawah. It's the tent of the congregation. The tent of the congregation is meant to protect us from the presence of Yahawah. It's meant to protect the Levites from everybody that's on the outside. Now watch this. When did this happen? This was set up when? On the first day of the month. Now, we just read about everything that was brought together. We read about how, all the material and all the gold and everything was done. And, that's crazy, right? Now, let's fast forward into the future, right? 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 1. Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the chiefs of the fathers and children of Israel, unto King Solomon in Jerusalem, that they might bring up the ark of the covenant of Yahawah out of the city of David and Zion, right? So let's scroll down, right? 1 Kings chapter 8 and verse 40. It's good to start at 44. All right. Now watch this. This is a prayer for Black people. This should be done on Black History Month. Now, the reason why I say Black people, even though I don't like that phrase and I use it loosely, is because the majority of Israelites that are in America today are known as Hebrews or Israelites, but they're known as Blacks or African Americans, etc. Whatnot in the sort. But here's the correct way to pray. This was done on new moon after King Solomon rededicated the temple. So this pattern of new moon and the Shabbat day, both of them are extraordinary. The Shabbat today is a special day. Today is the Shabbat. It's a special day. It's not a day we're not supposed to get spankings on the Shabbat. We're not supposed to get spankings on the Shabbat because the Shabbat is a happy day for Yahawah. But that also means that parents and children have to work together so that children don't get spankings on the Shabbat, because children aren't supposed to vex their parents. The Shabbat is a joyful day. Now, I'm only saying this to my Benathian, to my daughter, so that she can hear and so she can learn, but you all can understand too. All right. So the Shabbat is a day of rejoice and joy. And with that being said, you know, tears don't go well. Tears of mourning don't go well at a funeral, just like laughter doesn't go well at, you know what I'm saying? Tears of joy don't go well at a wedding, just like, you know what I'm saying? Vice versa, you know what I mean to say. You fooled me once, shame on you. Fool me again. Remember Bill, was that George Bush did that? Shame on the shamer. Absolutely not. You're quiet. You may be quiet, and the more I start talking, the more I want to teach, the more they wake up. So let's just finish the reading, and I pray that you all learn more. So there's 1 Kings chapter 8. There's a lot to go into that. I pray that you all read it, get it, and enjoy it. Shadaya Shakwat, Baba Kushah. You got your own space. Go over there. Kaya, you over here because you was actually causing too much energy. Shadaya, go play with yourself. Not play with yourself. Go enjoy yourself over there, Kaya. Shop, shop. All right, Kaya, you stay over here. 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 44. If my people, Yahawah, if thy people, right? If thy people go out to battle against their enemy, whithersoever they shall send them, thou shalt send them, and shall do what? Here's the key point. It's not just going to war against our enemy. The key point is to pray unto Yahawah. Look at this. Toward the city which thou hast chosen. And a lot of people don't notice because we're taught this. Everybody says, hold hands and pray, put your heads down, bow. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to pop lock while you pray and all this other stuff. Yahawah says that we're supposed to face his holy temple. We're supposed to face Jerusalem. For every congregation that I've been to and all the Israelite, you know, places that I've been to, we all have the same thing. According to this Bible, and according to the Bible that's on your grandmother's desk and the Bible that's on the dashboard of your car, what you're supposed to do is find the eastern direction. From where I'm from, that's north, that's northeast. Northeast. So that's east for me. All right. South is that way. West is behind me because I remember what the tabernacle looked like in my mind. I've written it. I've drawn it. I've looked at stuff. I was like, yo, this. So once you learn your directions, north, south, east, west. All right. What's that? Whatever they say that is, right? North, south, east, west, whatever acronym you want to use. You always for yourself remember which direction does the sun rise. Outside of my door, my window, the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west. All right. So every morning when the sun rises and the sun goes down, I have a conscious awareness of where I am within my own house, within my own zone. I'm looking for Jerusalem. I'm looking for Zion. I'm looking for which direction to pray to. La'ah, La'ah, and La'ah. Thank you for you, but La'ah to you, because you'll get her amped up. You're not helping her be quiet right now. You're supposed to. Shadaya, you are helping her. Tawada, thank you so much. Shadaya, Tawada, will you put that back on top, Baba Kushah? You want me to do it for you? It don't matter who found it. Neither one of you actually supposed to have it. All right? Nathan La'aba Baba Kushah? Absolutely. Let me have that part too that has all the juicy stuff in it. Yeah, let me get it. Let me see. Nathan La'aba? Shakwat, La'a, Shakwat, Nathan La'aba Baba Kushah, Shadaya? It's okay. I'll do it. It's this part right here. Great job. Excellent. All right. So, La'a, the water. Khan. Shadaya, you don't have to sit down right now. Khan. Oh, no, you're fine. You don't have to sit down right now. You're fine. You don't have to sit down right now, princess. Khan, call Kaya, stay close to me and shop. Let's finish this up, everybody. Please, I petition you, read 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 44, starting down. Let's read on. The Most High says what? Now, here's the main point, verse 46. If they sin against thee, right? If your children sin against thee, if the Israelites, the Hebrews, sin against thee, for there is no man that sinneth not. And the Most High, God Almighty, he says what? He be angry with them and deliver them to the enemy so that they carry them away captive unto the land of their enemy, far or near. And this is the reality. We have been carried away far and near, right? I subscribe to the teaching of the 12 tribes chart that by using the prophecies of Deuteronomy chapter 33, you can find details of who what the Most High did. You know, you can find details of how Yahawah scattered his people, right? So I encourage everybody to read that, okay? And we're going to go to Exodus chapter 40 and verse 2. We're going to finish this up. La'ah Shakwat. Stop telling her what to do and you be quiet. It's quiet time. Khan, the water. She loves you very much. The water is empty. Sit back, shop, because you're sitting here to be quiet, not to tell her what to do. Shariah, you go ahead, baby. Go ahead. Khan, do you want to come over here? Of course. And Yahawah spake unto Moses, verse 2, on the first day of the month, thou shalt set up a tabernacle in the tent of the congregation, and thou shalt put therein the ark of the testimony, and cover the ark with the veil. Verse 4, and thou shalt put in the tabernacle, and thou shalt put in the table, and set in order the things that are set in order upon it. And thou shalt bring in the candlestick, and light the lamps thereof. And thou shalt set the altar of gold for the incense before the ark of the testimony, and put the hanging of the door to the tabernacle. And thou shalt set the altar of the burnt offering before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. And thou shalt set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and shall put water therein. And thou shalt set up the court round about, and hang up all the hangings at the court gate. And thou shalt take the anointing oil, and anoint the tabernacle, and all that is therein, and shall hallow it, and all the vessels thereof, and it shall be holy. And thou shalt anoint the altar of the burnt offering, and all the vessels, and sanctify the altar, and it shall be an altar most holy. And thou shalt anoint the laver and his foot, and sanctify it. And thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and wash them with water. And thou shalt put upon Aaron the holy garments, and anoint him, and sanctify him, that he may minister unto me in the priest office. And thou shalt bring his sons, and clothe them with coats. And thou shalt anoint them as thou did anoint their father, that they may minister unto me in the priest office, for their anointing shall surely be an everlasting priesthood throughout the generations. Thus did Mashah Moses according to all that Yahawah commanded him, so did he. And it came to pass in the first month of the second year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. And Mashah reared up the tabernacle, and fashioned his sockets, and set the boards thereof, and put the bars therein, and reared up his pillars. And he spread abroad the tent over the tabernacle, and put covering of the tent above it, as Yahawah commanded Mashah Moses. And he took up the testimony of the ark, and set the staves of the ark on the ark, and put the mercy seat above upon the ark. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle, and set up the veil of the covering, and covered the ark of the testimony, as Yahawah commanded Mashah. And he put the table in the tent of the congregation, upon the side of the tabernacle onward without the veil. And he set the bread in order upon it before Yahawah, as Yahawah had commanded Mashah. And he put the candlestick in the tent of the congregation over against the tent. And he put the candlestick in the tent of the congregation over against the table of the side of the tabernacle southward. And he lighted the lamps before Yahawah, as Yahawah commanded Mashah. And he put the golden altar in the tent of the congregation before the veil. And he burnt sweet incense therein, as Yahawah commanded Mashah. And he set up a hanging at the door of the tabernacle. And he put an altar of burnt offerings by the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. He offered upon it and offered upon it a burnt offering and the meat offering, as Yahawah commanded Mashah. And he set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and put the water there to wash withal. And Mashah and Aharon and his sons washed their hands and their feet thereat. And when they went into the tent of the congregation, and when they came near unto the altar, they washed. Wait, let me read that again. Exodus chapter 40, verse 32. And they went in, and when when they went in unto the tent of the congregation, and when they came near unto the altar, they washed as Yahawah commanded Moses. And he reared up the court round about the tabernacle and the altar, except the hanging of the court gates. So Moses finished the work. Verse 43. And then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of Yahawah filled the tabernacle. And Mashah was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation because the cloud abode thereon. And the glory of Yahawah filled the tabernacle. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. Verse 37. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not till that day that it was taken up. For the cloud of Yahawah was upon the tabernacle by day. For the cloud of Yahawah was upon the tabernacle by day, and a fire on it by night, in the sight of the house of Yasharallah throughout all their journeys. Hallelujah. 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 Kala Shirah, the body of Yahawah, Na Aisha, Wana Shemai. All that Yahawah has said, will we do and hear. Call Hallelujah. So this week's Torah portion reading, I would love to be able to go in and expound and stuff, etc. such, but I think it would be best it just seems like it would be best if everyone kind of did it on their own. But you will get a lot of jewels if you no pun intended. You get a lot of jewels if you actually look it up in history. So I want to give everybody a lead. There's a few YouTube videos to where you can find 3D Ark of the Covenant, 3D Tabernacle of God, 3D models of the Tabernacle of God, stuff like that. And if you look those up, then you'll be able to get visuals that'll be able to help you. All right. Now, we know that the majority of our communities are preparing for the Pesach, for the Passover. And during the time frame of Passover, you usually have a lot of unclean spirits, a lot of spiritual attacks. People just become weirdos during the Sabbath and during the Passover. Well, remember during the time of Hamashiach, his death, burial, and resurrection, even his greatest friends, his allies, not only turned on him, but also disbanded him, wanted to have him killed, all kind of beautiful stuff, which are things that we as a people go through. So when things freak out around you during the time frame of Passover, please, to the best of your ability, just observe it. Just watch what's going on. Don't freak out. Everybody's tripping but you. Okay? You are not the problem. All right, let me go ahead and tell you right now. You're not the problem. It's the spirits that's going through. Such as the time frame when Christ was being persecuted or going through court. You see the same thing happening during the time frame of Pesach, during Passover. So you see the same thing happening during the time frame of Pesach or during Passover. So when we're finishing up this week's Torah, we can see that Hamashiach Yahawah during his time frame in the book of Luke chapter 22. So let's read that real quick and we're going to close out. Luke chapter 22, verse 1, verse Chad. Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover. And the chief priest and the scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people. You want to go, Kaya? What do you want? Luke chapter 22, verse 1. Now, when the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover, and the chief priests and scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people. Then entered Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, which is why we tell people, and I've been warning people since before some people's talking about it within this year. I was telling them, watch out for yourself, watch out for spirits. Don't be surprised of attacks. Don't take them personal. It's Passover. If you have things come up against you or come at you, don't be surprised. It's not you. You are not the problem. It's Passover. All right. So let's read on again. So Luke chapter 22, verse 3. Then entered Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, being of the number of the 12. And he went in his way and communed with the chief priests and the captains, that they might betray him unto them. And they were glad and coveted to give him money. Money. That's what they be talking about. Money. And he promised and sought the opportunity to betray him unto the absence of the multitude. Then came the day of unleavened bread, when the Pesach Passover must be killed. So Israelites are not, you can be a vegan if you want to, you can be a Hebrew vegan if you want to, but once a year you are commanded to eat lamb. All right. The Pesach, the Paschal, the lamb is called the Paschal. Pascal. The Paschal is the lamb that's designated to be slaughtered. All right. For the expiation of sin. That's Hamashiach Yahawah now. Right. So Luke chapter 22, verse 8. And he sent Peter and John going, saying, go and prepare us the Passover, that we may eat. Verse 9. So this proves even now, if you read in these other books, some of these. Verse 9. And they said unto him, where wilt thou that we prepare? Verse 10. And he said unto them, behold, when ye enter into the city, there shall a man meet you, bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house, where he entereth in. Verse 11. And ye shall say unto the good man of the house, the master saith unto thee, where is the guest chamber, where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples. Verse 12. And he shall show you a large upper room furnished. Make ready. Verse 13. And they went and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Pesach. So I want to encourage you all, make ready the time frame of the Passover, which is right now. I know that we're a bit behind, and Passover usually comes very quickly. Pesach and the holy convocations usually come very quickly. All right, so we're at that time frame now. A lot of people, different time frames. And I want to encourage you all to keep the Passover, keep the Shabbat, and Shabbat Shalom. All right, Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. All right, great job. Shalom. All right, everybody.